I want them to be happy. And if I feel like I don't know if we're going to be able to achieve what you're thinking in your head, especially for the budget that you have, I don't know if we're the right fit. And I'll be honest, and I will say that because I do not want anybody to engage working with us and not get the outcome they were hoping for.
Right.
Welcome back to the Michael James podcast. This is a very interesting episode because I have a few members from my team. Though this podcast isn't necessarily just about my business and what we do in my business, but there is a team behind my business and there's also a team behind the podcast, and we'll get into that a little bit. But first and foremost, I have John here. We have Lauren here. I'll just let them introduce themselves to you. John, give a brief quick description of yourself. Anybody that doesn't know who John is, I know you're famous now on our Instagram.
The few people that don't know me. John Salamone, Plymouth Meeting, local, right by this guy, and Plymouth White Marsh High School. Pretty much worked. My first job was golf business, golf industry. That was definitely a very interesting position for a while, and really 2015 then started with Mike, I believe it was.
I was actually thinking about that today. I was trying to remember when you started, and right before we started really doing stuff down the city, and it was 2015, so it's longer than I thought, actually.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. How about you, Lauren?
I am also local. I went to Upper Marion High School, so I did not have the pleasure of knowing you for many, many years.
Well, I gotta be honest, in the same circles, you knew Kelly Chick and
I know,
Mark, my cousin Mark, and it's kind of odd, and maybe we did, but we didn't know we knew each other. But
could have. I'm a little bit older.
A little bit. It's okay.
I'm a mom.
How many kids?
3. And my husband is...
So Jeff is now a superstar. So Jeff was nice enough to come on for that first episode.
001.
Yeah.
So I gotta work really hard to live up to the hype of that first episode.
Jeff was really good. Jeff was good. He had no problem being in the hot seat.
Yeah.
So thank you for volunteering Jeff to be the first one. But he did great. He has an interesting story, so it was fun to share.
He does, and that's kind of what I live with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
John, the role you play in my company is project manager. Briefly describe that that endeavor and what that's like on a daily basis.
Oh boy. So I guess in short, overseeing day-to-day, roles, day-to-day operations, and really just dealing with people of every different magnitude, whether it be other subcontractors, other customers, talking to new customers, talking to investors. So people, I'd say, really dealing with people.
That's actually really good way to describe it. You are in the people part of the business for sure. Sometimes even more than me. These contractors are with you, the homeowners are with you, the whatever. The vendors, you are that guy that is having a lot of the conversations, and then you're also the guy that unfortunately has to give me bad news, the good news, the wins and the losses. But that's the relationship aspect of the business. A project manager plays a big role in relationships. Lauren, your role?
I am the girl behind the camera.
Yes.
So everything that you see on our social
It's
media.
not me. Everybody asks me. They think it's me.
You're not behind the camera today.
Well, today
That's why we're doing this.
I know.
Is I want people to know there's a good team and really good people that are working with us.
You're like the dad that always takes the pictures and he's never in the picture.
It's like the role reversal. But yeah, all of that. I show up.
You just show up.
I do
Step
show up.
one.
Step one. It's a big deal now.
Yeah, that's not guaranteed.
Yeah, and we push record and then we make really good stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah. So Lauren's role was created out of thin air. I wasn't really doing much marketing about almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago?
Probably a year and a half.
So a year and a half ago, and I said to my wife, I gotta get someone for marketing. I need social media. Social media is not my It's not my thing. It's not my thing.
Yeah,
Anybody who truly knows me knows that that's
we know
not my
that.
thing.
I know that.
I have nothing against it. It's just something I don't give a whole lot of thought to. But I, as a business owner, I recognize the importance of it. So I figured if I don't know a lot about it, I should get someone who does. And I built out a whole job description. We're getting ready to post it, and no one ever got to see it because my wife was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I got this marketing position, and I need to start marketing for this marketing position." She's like, "No, I already have the person."
Yeah.
I was like, "Who?" She's like, "Lauren." I was like, "Who the heck's that?"
Yeah.
I thought I knew everybody. You know.
She forced me into it.
No, but no one else had a chance to interview, and which is great. Don't regret it. It's been awesome, and thank you to my wife who brought you to my attention.
She's the best.
She is the best. The thing that is interesting though with you, when I first brought you on, I had zero intentions on being on the other side of the camera. And after a few weeks, you were hinting like, "Hey, it'd be great to get you out there." I'm like, "There's no reason for that."
Yeah, there's a lot of hinting.
Yeah, yeah. So, but actually, if you go back, I'm not the first person from the company on the camera, right? It's you.
You were not. It's this guy. This guy.
Stars born.
The star is born.
This guy. Yeah. He did. I showed up, and I was like, you know what? I was asking him questions about the job, which I do. I mean, I feel like it's kind of annoying sometimes, but I always ask you guys a lot of questions. And it was one particular renovation we were doing. And I said, you know what? What's going on here? And he's like explaining everything to me. And I said, could you do that again?
You didn't hear the whole me talking for the last 20 minutes?
I remember him saying that to me. I was like, I thought it's like, you really didn't hear everything that you said.
And then I pulled the camera out and he was like, oh, all right, this is really what we're doing. And yeah, so you were.
I remember, that was good.
Yeah, that was good.
You had a couple fans that popped up, like they came out of thin air.
Please walk.
And it's actually funnier than that. I sent John to an educational seminar, and he had our shirt on, and the guy gives.
I never thought I'd hear that one.
You were being recognized in.
I was being recognized.
Yeah.
I'm looking around like.
Hey man, I saw your video. Good job.
What video?
Video. Again, the star was born.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys, I don't ask you to. I feel like I don't ask you to do like anything crazy.
No, we're good.
Yeah, but that's how it started.
I mean, I'm willing to do some crazy things.
Yeah, I know. I'm
definitely willing to do some crazy things. But I think anyone who doesn't get behind or in front of a camera, who's used to being on the other side of a camera, it is very scary, and it's a different mindset. And even for me, like, it wasn't necessarily I was afraid of it. I just didn't understand the importance of it.
Well, I feel like anyone that knows you was like utterly shocked when you started doing
That's why I'm still in shock.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm posting this stuff.
I mean, the amount of people that came up to me, like your family, and they were like, how did you get him?
You drug him.
What did you do? How did you? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know how it happened, but it did. And it's great.
Yeah. And
but it took a lot of coercion for that to happen.
Yeah, it did. It did. And now what we struggle with is we have a hard time getting our contractors, and they all run.
They scurry.
They run.
They scurry when
they see you show up. You're like, how do you guys build anything? There's nobody around. Like, they're here, and they're just hiding from you. They saw the camera girl pull up. So both of you, I didn't know you. I knew my wife knew you, but John and I go back. My gosh, probably to like third grade, right? Maybe even second grade. We grew up down the street from each other. We've been lifelong friends. We know everything about each other. We've experienced all kinds of things with each other. And I don't know how many people get to have that unique experience, to have someone that's more like a brother than anything work with you every day. It's really, really cool. And it keeps the hard days lighter, So I know a lot of people say don't work with friends and family, and that's probably true because I've had other experiences the other way, but sometimes it depends on the personality. And if you see something in somebody and you have that trust factor and they have integrity, you can't I can't teach anybody that stuff. And John has just loaded with integrity.
You're such a good guy.
Yeah,
Good
he's got
guy.
tons of integrity. He shows up every day, even when he knows it's not going to be an easy day. It's not going to be an easy day. You know, and he still shows up. So it's super, super important. And I think it's important to highlight that don't be afraid. If you see something in someone that you know and they have things that you can't teach, maybe teach them the other stuff and see if, you know, they can fulfill whatever position that may be, you know. And then, you know, for you, so Marisa, again, she didn't really give me a choice, but
She didn't give me a choice.
yeah, but like it's your
Right.
personality, it's your creativeness, your patience. Like especially like if you ask John or I to send you a video, you're like, "What the heck is that crap you just sent me, guys? Like, what am I supposed to do with that?" Like,
Yeah.
you're patient and you have an eye for it, which is really cool. And that's why Marisa wanted me to bring you on because she's like, she's got a talent. This is her talent, you know, whether she knows it or not. And it's true, it is. This is your talent. And also, without you, we wouldn't be sitting here starting this journey of a podcast.
You know that's my favorite word.
I know.
Journey.
I hate
Try
that
to refrain
word.
from using
I
it,
know.
but for lack of better
I
words.
know.
So that's how, you know, I look at you guys. You guys are friends, but you know, obviously you work for the company, but you're friends, and it really helps again make those hard days a little bit lighter. We laugh a lot, we cry a lot, we pick each other back up. But like that being said, speaking of that, so let's talk about, since we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, but let's actually talk about that from your perspective. John, what would you say some of the challenges, and I say some because I know there's many, but let's just pick like a
That's so
couple.
How long is this podcast?
We'll pick a couple challenges that you see, and then maybe to make it even better, let's talk about some things that maybe we started implementing to try to like overcome some of the challenges. So off the top, of your
Sure,
head.
sure. Off the top of my head, not communication across the board, whether it be between us, between contractors, between homeowners, have to keep constant communication in every way, good or bad. If it's hard to have the conversation today and you don't have it, it's going to be even harder to have it in a week or 2 weeks. It doesn't get better. Nothing fixes itself in this world. So, you know, as far as talking with one of the contractors who's starting to do his own thing now, and I just said, honestly, that's number one. Bad things are going to happen, even if you're the, you know, greatest. I mean, it doesn't always go smooth. It's how you handle the issues. That's really comes down to it. You have to just constantly talk to the people. So a lot of the people, whether it be customers or contractors, have my phone number, so they're not shy to contact me. So we talk a lot. I do talk a lot. There are sometimes when I feel I could just stay at home and just be on my phone. That's great to know, probably.
Communications.
But it's key though. If you
is.
don't talk, if you ghost people, that's not good for either contractors or customers. So that's disaster waiting to happen.
There's a difference between giving something a little bit of time because you don't have all your answers yet together to present it to, whether it be a contractor, whether it be an owner, a customer, whatever. It's the fact when you go 3, 4, 5 days, you're not communicating with somebody, it's a problem because they automatically think worst case scenario. Right? Now they're worried about something that probably isn't even the thing they're worried about, all because we didn't communicate.
And you don't know 100%, it's not your field, and you are just being left in the dark. Yeah, you go to the bad places first. You don't think everything's okay.
Exactly. It's worse.
Yeah.
It's fight or flight is
And
on
especially when you
fire.
have a lot of money involved, and the stress is off the charts.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
You do that very well, though. You do communicate very well with people.
I answer the
You
phone. Might not always like what I have to say, but I answer.
It's definitely one of his best talents.
Like so many people that
It's a simple thing,
communicated
which
with.
most people don't do. Simple things.
No, that's true. But I mean, a lot of the people that we've worked with, and you know, I come on later, obviously, but they always have wonderful things to say because you do pick up the phone, and it is really important.
Have to. Have to.
It's massive. It's massive, and you know that comes from the foundation that he cares. And again, that's something I can't teach anybody. You have to be someone who cares about what you're doing. I can't make John answer the phone. Sometimes I don't know how many times. Like sometimes he hides things from me. He's trying to protect me,
Yeah.
and he'll be dealing with an issue. We had something recently, you know, and he was trying to protect me to the point where I have to sound like about this, but he wasn't hiding from it. He communicated
Yeah.
it with the owner, with the contractor, and it was more of like miscommunication than anything. It really wasn't that big of a deal, but. Regardless, it had to be communicated, it had to get worked out, it had to be coordinated. Okay. And yeah, so communication's huge.
But I feel like too, like you're so compassionate,
Yeah.
and I think that is a quality that people really it like radiates with people, you know?
I agree. Yeah, no, it's important. You know, you can do those things, and you know that takes care of a lot of other issues too down the road.
For
So
sure.
in every field. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's you know, basic stuff, but not everybody does it.
Yeah.
So.
It's a good one. It's a very good one to highlight. Lauren, how about what challenges do you see us facing together, whatever it may be?
Like today?
No, like I mean, well, yeah, sure. Did something happen?
No.
No, but I mean in general, like your role. I mean I could think of 12 things for you.
Yeah.
If you're blanking on
No.
any. One thing I know, whether you know it's a challenge or not, I know you know it's a challenge, and I'm just gonna give you the bait on that one. Is we're always like, are we doing the right thing? Is
Yeah.
this the right way to be posting, or
Yeah.
is this the right channel, or like when do we do it, or like how long do the video needs to be, what the content needs, what's the hook going to be? Like, oh, they're doing this, we should try that. Oh, but they tried that and that didn't work. Would you say that's a challenge?
It's 100% a challenge, but it's also something that I work on. You know, like I feel like when you face those challenges, the best thing you can do is just like hit it head on and figure like how are we going to fix it,
Yeah.
and then how are we going to progress from
Yes.
whatever we need to do. So
That's a great word.
um
Progress is a great word.
so I feel like yes, it's a challenge um in that aspect, but I feel like we do really well in trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I know this about you and me, we're very similar in like what else can we do? How can we do things better? How can we get better, and how can we
Literally daily. we're
Literally
having this
daily.
conversation,
Yeah.
which is awesome because that's how you have to
Yeah.
think. Because I think this, especially what you do, I mean, the whole business in general is never ending learning.
Yeah.
But like your part goes a million miles
Well,
an
it
hour.
changes daily.
Yeah. Like, so it takes like every day of paying attention, reading an article, watching a new video. It's
YouTube
nonstop.
videos, a lot of YouTube
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
But I think if you're talking more like personal challenge, like I had to learn the industry. I literally did not know one thing.
So true.
So, I mean, and being a female and just trying to figure that out, like I'll have conversations now with my husband and he'll be like, like,
You know more about construction than you know.
No, but it's like, you know, like, or I'll see something and I'm like, oh yeah, they're, you know, in this stage of it, whatever, like something, you know, 18 months ago, I would literally have no idea about. But it just stems from like asking those questions.
There it
and
is.
just
I was gonna say like how,
Yeah.
and I knew your answer was gonna be because you ask a lot of
I
questions.
do. It's maybe a downfall.
No,
Like,
No.
it's definitely not.
well,
Definitely
not
not.
here, but maybe in other places. But I
don't
do.
think so. I think it's why you've learned so quickly is well that, and again I'll get back to you care. You want to understand what you're capturing, and that's super important. Even though you could just come and take a video, you want to know what are we talking about? Like
Yeah.
why is that important?
And well, I want to put content there, and I know you feel the same way, that people can really learn from.
Yeah.
And you know, it's easy to just put something out, but I think the fact that we do care about what we're showing and what we're talking about, and I think that plays a big role in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah, and it moves so fast.
Yes.
And I think sometimes I drive you crazy because, like, again, I say I'm not a micromanager. I say it all the time, but I guess, like, as you guys know, like,
100%
yeah, I know. I really don't. Yeah, it's not even that anybody's not doing a good job. I just can't help it.
Yeah.
Like, because you know
It's
what it
in your
is?
nature.
I just want to know. I need to understand how everything works. And I don't know if it's a great quality. I don't know. I don't know. But I always want to know how it works. And I know I drive you crazy because I send you things. I'm like, watch this video. You're like, oh my God. Go to sleep, buddy.
Yeah. 3 a.m.
Go to
Just
sleep.
kidding. No, but I mean that, and I do the same with you. Like I'll say, look at this, or we figure out what we should be doing.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know. I think,
So it's a collaboration.
yeah,
If
100%.
you are always taking a vision I have and you're like, what's the vision today?
Yeah.
And then you're trying to figure out how to put the pieces together. And, everyone can see a video. And you and I know this. We talk about this all the time. The amount of work
A lot of work.
goes into just a quick little video. It's not a quick little video.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's a lot of work, a lot of planning.
Should probably
And
release those B-rolls.
got a lot of
sometime.
B-rolls. So got a lot of B-rolls, a lot of bloopers, a lot of all kinds of, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
As John would say, this is just a disaster.
Every day.
Every day.
Multiple.
Something
But
comes
you know
up.
what it is? We overcome them.
Yes.
We say that all the time. We're like, you know what? We'll get through it. We'll figure it out. So communication being something that's huge is, get back to that, John. What would you say something in your mind, not at all from my perspective, totally from your perspective, what would you say we've gotten better at over the last, like, let's call it 3 to 5 years, that we really started like to improve, that was pain points for us, that were like, you know what, we started figuring this out.
Sure. Anticipating the pain points. Yes, we
Keep
know.
the shield on because
Yes.
here they come.
Here it comes. This is going to hurt if we don't do this. So get ready and communicate. It's going to hurt.
Engage your
Get
core.
ready. Yes. I'm prepared now. I'm really prepared. So for sure, though, I mean, doing the projects, whether it be larger, smaller scale, it's kind of irrelevant. Whether it be, multi-unit or single family or apartment, or it doesn't matter. It's a lot of the same process, maybe just different materials, different scale, and a lot of the same people. So you anticipate, you see they have certain ways, they have certain tendencies, things like that. You almost can predict in a lot of ways. You see it coming, things coming. So not everything, but we should start a book.
We still get surprised, but not as much.
Correct. Less and less surprises as time goes on.
Yeah.
So new surprises maybe.
Yeah,
So-
it's true though. I mean, it's funny, but the reality is it's actually true. I agree with you. We have got better at that, recognizing, the big wave before it comes, and even everyone else, like, Charlene, who's not here tonight. We're gonna get her back on another time, who plays a very important role in my company. Without her, like, that engine just doesn't turn. But like even her, right, over we all have really have brace for impact.
I think I said the other day, I was kind of joking, crying a little bit the other day. I was at the shore, but I said, it's at least failed different ways. Let's not fail the same way. Let's mess up a different way if we're gonna mess up. So at least learn and not do the same thing over and over again. That's not right. So
I think we just had recently, down in Ocean City, we're finishing up building that house, and you and I talked about that from a couple of different tradespeople. Before we started, we knew where the problems were going to be, and the importance of having a project manager on site was that gives even me the ability to have not that, again, I'm not asking him to micromanage them. These guys are the specialists, but we know it works, and everyone has their own little system. They want to do things, and we don't use the same contractors for every single job. But to your point of anticipating, you enforce certain things because you saw it coming. There was a lot of millwork in that house, and it was a lot of work. And the importance of paint preparations. And because of that, it was a little bit of a challenge, I know, because we had different crews coming in for the rough, the final, and all that stuff. But ultimately, it worked out really well.
good product. End of the day. End of the day, that's what matters.
good product.
So,
Because the reality is, all of our people, all the guys and girls that do work for us are actually insanely good craftspeople. Like I wouldn't work with them otherwise. And not only that, they're all good people.
yeah.
We're not, and I'm not. I don't need the most perfect painter, the most perfect framer. I need the best one that I can find that we can work with that makes sense for us, right? And it's not always about the cheapest guy, the most expensive. Because he's the most expensive, he must be the best. I'm gonna tell you right now, that's not true. You know, and cheaper is never better.
No.
Not in my experience anyway.
No.
But
Might be the most expensive at the end of the day,
Yeah.
too.
man, that's true. That's true. Well, how about for you? Like, what would you think? Something I know in your short time, even though it's feel like a long time.
I
Honestly.
know.
What would you think? Something we've improved on, or you improved on, whatever.
Oh my gosh. If you looked at like some of the first
I can't
things
watch
we
the
ever
first
did,
couple
like
videos.
I
I
just
cringe.
same.
I can't.
And how do I put this like delicately? I
I
don't
don't
know.
think you need to.
I
but
mean,
this is
it-
not
Thick
meant to
skin.
be a delicate
Thick skin.
recorded
like
podcast by any means.
I feel like even just some of the things that I did and I thought maybe like, oh, this is great.
Mhm.
I look at it now and I was like, oh my
Mm.
gosh, it's really not.
The first Apple computer
first-
was kind of shitty.
Yeah,
So,
it's fine.
You know,
And then-
it worked out okay
and
for
then-
him.
Yeah, true.
So
So
he improved a little.
I know. And I well
Oh,
also
yeah.
too, I have to say, and I think that was one of the biggest driving
Whoa.
like forces of me putting you on the camera was because there was like zero content. You know, I mean, you were always really good about taking photos and keeping up with what you were doing, but it's just, and we talk about this all the time, and we just did. It's finding the content and
Yeah.
finding new content, and it's you want to make sure it's relevant, and you
Yeah.
want to make sure people actually want to watch what you're putting out.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you do a really good job though of recognizing, because you do a lot of back study on what has done well, what didn't do well, maybe why this, why that, what
Yeah.
we need to change.
and the good thing I think is I talk to the people first. You know, people that come to us about jobs, and we talk about this all the time, and I know the questions that they're asking,
Mhm.
and that is super beneficial, I think. And I think it helps too that I really don't know, like
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
what's happening in there because not everyone understands what happens in a build. And I do ask those questions, but it's probably very similar to the questions that other people have.
Mhm.
So I think that helps a lot
Yeah.
in
So
what.
something unique with your position that we kind of started like spinning
Meshing it,
in,
yeah.
you know, more recently, not super recent, but more recently was our thought of like, hey, you are so connected to the marketing, what we're putting out. So when people are reaching out to us, you have a clue on how to have conversations with them because you know exactly what we put out. I mean, you put it together. you put the whole thing together. So you've also become, for now anyway, like you're the first point of contact
Yeah.
when they come through, you know, whether it be social
Social
media,
media,
the website,
website,
whatever. They get to talk to you first. So there she is. And that's her.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think about that? It's a little weird because marketing. Marketing isn't the ones like landing the sale and talking to people and explaining the sales process of the company. What are your thoughts on that? I know I said it to you and you took it in because you do whatever. You're not going to tell me no.
Yeah, no. I mean,
Maybe you would. I don't know.
no, it's fine. I do. The same thing. Like John said, I enjoy communicating with people. I mean, when you I was a stay-at-home mom for 14 years, and you just become so engrossed in your kids and what you're doing for them. And there's some days where you don't really have an adult conversation. So it's like enjoyable, I would say,
Yeah.
to do that.
So you like doing that.
Yeah,
You like just,
I do.
you're putting out the content, but you're also speaking to them. You actually enjoy it.
Yeah, and it helps. I mean, it does help the other aspect of what I do because I know,
Yeah.
the questions.
Well, you're getting direct feedback too of
100%.
like, hey, we did this one video and we've gotten 3
Yeah.
calls since
Yeah.
we did that video.
Yeah.
Which is really impactful for
It
you
is.
to pre-plan for what we have going on next.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, because of what we see in the industry and
Yeah.
what people actually want.
Yep.
Like, why would we not highlight that?
Mhm.
Because it's just a way to talk to
Mhm.
people without actually talking to them.
Yeah, for sure. So John, these won't be hard questions.
That's
I
okay.
promise. I
It's all
promise.
good.
They're not hard questions. It's stuff you deal with every single day. Aside from communication, something a little more tactical, like, and maybe it does involve communication, but like, what would you say when you're dealing with a contractor, let's say, that's set in his ways? We meet them for the first time. They may be great at what they do. What do you think are some good tips to have a conversation with that contractor where you're not trying to tell them, hey, we do it this way, and this way? Because we're not like that, even though we have our system. But we, especially building in Jersey, we had to meet like some new people and different personalities than we're used to dealing with. They work a little bit differently, some of these crews. What would you say is a good tip? Maybe not the right word tip, but a good way to go about when you meet a new contractor and you have a business in construction and you're trying to onboard that contractor.
Sure. So if we're trying to go over how we would do something, our process, I say, look, I'm open. I want to do, whatever. You're the guy doing the work. You have to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to be, happy or into it. But when we've done this in the past and this happens, that's not good. So you can do it however you want. But if you want to do it like that, how are we not going to get the same result? Because I hate doing that. The same. So I kind of leave it up to them. A lot of times if they, people want to do things certain ways, that's fine. But I want to say, look, well, if we've done it like this in the past, I don't want this to happen. You've seen the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if do it however you want. If you're, happy and comfortable, fine. Just make sure this isn't the result. That's all.
We need to get to the destination.
Yeah.
I don't need to see every turn you make.
Yes,
but-
we want this result, not what we are predicting.
So what you're saying is actually really important. So just to read between the lines to break this down for everybody, though, what you're saying is, and I know you do this, and I know I do this as well, you're not trying to control a subcontractor because they have that skill set. There's a reason why we are bringing in somebody
Right.
for something. So you're not there to tell him or her how to do their job. You're more giving them guidelines of our expectations
100%.
in a respectable manner, not demanding manner. Because I think him and I have been on both ends of this where we might go work for another developer or, a larger builder doing sub building for them and everything's like demand. And you miss an opportunity when you're working with contractors. And I think a lot of people make this mistake. I've learned the most from my sub trades because I was open-minded to hear how they wanted to do something. I may have seen something done a certain way 100 times when the old school guys taught me, and then they want to do something new. Instead of pushing back, I think it is nice to be open-minded just to see, like, maybe there's a new system here that you're going to integrate back with these other crews and let them know, look, we did it like this, and this worked awesome.
And technically, they're artists. It's their
They are.
craft.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're doing it every day.
Yeah.
You have to at least hear them out because if you do things the same way, eventually you're going to get passed and lapped many times over. You're never going to change. And it's always changing.
Yeah.
Everything. How people are doing and materials,
trends.
everything. So
Everything's
you have to at
going,
least hear the
yeah.
people out.
Yeah.
And maybe some sort of a compromise between the two ways is the answer as well.
Yeah.
So, it all depends. But you have to at
Also,
least do that.
I mean, it's probably also like we talk about this all the time as well, is the continued education because we talked, you said trends, different building materials and products. It's unreal though. You have to sometimes totally relearn how you used to do something. And a challenge I know we face is when we learned a new way to apply a certain product and, let's just say a siding contractor put up house wrap a certain way for so many years in specific product. And then I changed the product and they put it up the same way. it's like it's hard to say, hey, look, listen, I need you to do it this way, but the reality is like that's where our job is. Sometimes it's hard. You're not trying to tell them what to do, but you have to let them know, hey, I went to a seminar on this. This is how this goes. In order for the warranty to stand true, like you have to follow these guidelines, and you present it to them. Now they could take that two different ways. They could say, "Get the hell out of here," right? Or they can respect the fact, like, oh, and then that also determines, like, are we going to work together again or not, right? Because at the end of the day, we want it to be done the right way. So that sometimes is a challenge, especially guys like we've been doing this a while, but some people have been in this way longer than us, and it's hard to go tell those guys, hey, there's a new way of doing things.
Sure there is.
It's a tough conversation.
Yeah. No. Just because somebody's done something, I don't like that answer either. For 40 years doesn't mean you know what you're doing. It means you know how to do how you do it.
Yeah.
So I don't love that answer, but it's also not easy. They don't like hearing that either.
Used to lay stone, but talk about this.
Usually when the hammer gets thrown. Okay.
That's when they ask you, can you please give us some coffee? Get this guy out of here.
Check it. I'm doing this for 60 years.
Weren't you golfing? You were a golfer.
Oh man.
Lauren, like, what would you say is the most exciting part about what you do?
The most exciting part.
Like, what parts lights you up? Like, I really enjoy X of this.
Talking to me is probably the
It is. It is.
Most exciting, light you up.
Lot.
Challenging.
Challenging, excited.
Cover all the
John,
bases.
can you answer me today? Where are you?
Is John working?
No, honestly, if you really want me to be honest, I love. I call them like haters, but I love when we get. We'll say feedback.
Hate mail.
Yeah. Just because I know people are, I feel like I said this to you today, people are really watching and paying attention to what we're doing to the point where like they thought it was necessary to like comment and be like, something, and you have to take it with a grain of salt. We say that all the time, but
they're entitled to comment, whatever.
Yeah, I'm like, shit, we made it. We have haters,
Yeah.
So as much as I love, seeing people, and there are people who have supported us like the whole time, and give us so much positive feedback.
My mother. No one will beat my mother.
It's my mother-in-law is like the close second, but I think. The haters. I hate to say it, but I love that.
Okay, so it's so true because you texted me the other night with like a bunch of emojis of excited. I'm like, wow, do we have like a new record on review of the video? She's like, it finally happened. I was like, what happened? And she's like, we got haters. And I was like, why is that a good thing?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's so awesome.
I don't know. It just it pumps me up. Yeah.
That means you're doing something important. If you're not doing anything important, no one's going to pay attention and care.
Yeah, exactly.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
Again, though, it's kind of funny. Like, I mean, we have gotten some goofy things in the past, where some are just like out of left field, don't make sense. You can't even like.
Yeah.
But some of them are maybe misunderstanding or miscommunication of like what we were trying to say, or and I guess that is when you have to say like, hey, maybe you can learn from haters.
100%.
Doesn't mean like go listen to everything they say
Yeah.
and shut down and hide because you heard some hate. But I will say there's some value potential. You have to be careful. It's a fine line.
Yeah.
But would you agree?
I agree. I mean, I love same thing, positive or negative, because maybe we don't do a great job explaining something specific we were trying to highlight or whatever. Or maybe
my accent, they didn't understand what Mike said.
But the power of social media is that it's great or it's not, right? Because you only have a specific time frame to show someone what you're trying to relay, right? So, and different platforms, it's different times, and the attention span on it sometimes really trails off. So, I feel like that's important to keep in mind when you're doing that, because maybe somebody's not paying attention to the whole thing, or sometimes we break it up into certain segments and you'll explain that later. But I feel like it's always good to learn. I mean, we're always learning.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You have to be very open. And this was why I wasn't like, I dove right in because I know, I mean, I follow a ton of great people and I think they're great. And then you'll read some of the comments. I'm like, how could you? How could you say this stuff?
Right. Well,
You
people
know,
can
but
be
like,
really mean too.
it can be.
So,
You know, and I'm like, you know, this person is putting stuff out there that they're trying to teach you something.
yeah.
And this is, by the way, free information
Right.
that they're just laying out there for you.
Yeah.
You would think you would take that a little bit differently, and you can tell like your concern was to bash this person, not to care
Right.
anything about what they're talking about.
And I feel like too, it's easy to comment,
Oh, yeah.
but you don't understand how vulnerable the person
Yeah,
is that's actually putting that out.
yeah,
So like another thing, I feel like that's easy to do with social media
Yeah.
is you really, you know,
So what would you say to the guy or gal that is like started their own business and they need to start marketing themselves, and maybe it's just them right now, and they're being kind of like a little timid about like, hey, turn the camera around this way, which by the way was hard for me to do. That was actually harder for me to do than when you videoed me because I'm like, it feels vain.
yeah.
I'll be honest with you. It's one of the reasons why I was like, I don't know if I could do that. But if the content's good and you start to realize why you're doing it, it clears it up. But like, what would you say to them? Hey, I know I need to start marketing myself, filming myself. I'm afraid of what people are going to say.
I feel like that's your first conversation with anyone who is even thinking about contacting you,
Mhm.
right? In our instance, I feel like there's a lot of people who knew you before they even met you.
Yeah.
And I think if you can just maybe go past the vulnerability a little bit, that there's so many potential
Yeah.
clients and even conversations that you don't know people have about you or with you.
Yeah.
And it's better for the people to understand where you're coming from and the type of person that you are.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's really helped a lot, in my opinion. I mean, people knowing you before.
So
So
are you saying like maybe rely on the people that know you first to like get comfortable with like if you started your own business and you know you were selling, I don't know, dog leashes, and you're like, I really want the world to know about these dog leashes and I probably should do a video, but there's no way I can go on camera and do it. You're saying maybe like, hey, a lot of people already know you, the fact whether it be your family, your friends, like maybe don't overthink the whole thing.
well, that, but I also feel like personality is huge, right?
If
So
you like it's true. Like
I feel like if you can relay your personality,
yeah, and your product or
even if
service.
it's just 5-10 seconds,
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really true. Yeah, because a lot of us do make purchases on story or
Mhm.
personality.
And relatability,
Yeah.
I feel like is
Mhm.
huge.
We may not realize it, but we do. We might buy
Yeah.
a certain shirt or, you know, whatever because we like that person. Like, and
Mhm.
it's so true. We all do that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's if you can really show someone it's basically your credibility, you
Yeah.
know, and the type of person that you are.
Yeah.
And I think it may be scary
Yeah.
at first, and I witnessed it with you. It was scary, but
Like, there was videos I took. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not sending her this. Like,
well, half
literally,
the time I don't even show you what we do.
No, no. Maybe that's the other part
That's
of it.
another part.
It's like maybe don't
Yeah.
watch the video. Maybe
Yeah.
just do it and
Do
and
it.
be okay
Do
with
a
it.
live. Do an Instagram live.
Yeah.
Do a TikTok live.
Doesn't have
And
to be
just
perfect.
no,
either,
it doesn't.
you
And
know?
that's the thing. I think people get wrapped up in perfection.
Yeah.
But
I don't do that. I don't think I
oh yeah, never. But from what I've seen and what we've done, a lot of it is about personality.
Yeah. And I think it also comes to a point. I have a band that I wear. I don't have it on today, but I wear it a lot. It says, "Be scared and do it anyway."
Mm-hmm.
And in the last couple years, there's a lot of things that I will do and engage in just because it scares me. No, I'm serious. Like, and I know it's weird to say that, but like, if I see there could be a benefit, I don't care if I'm scared or not. I'm still gonna just do it.
Yeah.
And I think that happened with this was like I was terrified to get out behind a camera and like I'm more of an introvert. I am like I love people. I will talk to people, but like I don't need to be the life of the party.
Yeah.
I'm just not like that. But you know, I think part of it is just effing do it.
Yeah.
Right? Just effing do it.
100%.
And
Yeah.
I think the other thing I think we all realize this because even John at first was like, "You want me to take videos every day and send them to you? Like, you don't even want to see what I'm seeing
Yeah.
right now.
Sometimes I don't.
You don't even want to see what the heck
Yeah.
I'm looking at right now." But we all realize that in the world we're living in, at some point, if you're not on social media, videoing yourself or videoing your team or your progress and putting it out there, it's going to eventually be a problem because there's other people that are going to eat it alive. And you're going to be, I don't care how good you are either.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, think about like, and I know this me personally, but one of the first things I do when I hear about someone is like, you're not Googling anymore. You're like immediately like, oh, let me look at your Instagram.
Yeah.
Let me look at your Facebook, so I think not Google will be obsolete, but I mean, think about like the yellow pages that
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore.
yeah.
My parents have them.
They do. So they still use it?
No. Yes.
Johnny, they don't answer your phones. Oh, they haven't had that number since
Order
1987.
pizza.
Disconnected.
Order pizza. Be right with you.
But I feel like
You'll have it delivered to the door before she's done finding the number in the yellow pages. Towards
Place just a mile away.
Yeah.
That's your dad. So why is it so expensive?
Oh man. Let me say we have a big advantage because we're good at what we do. So we have a good product and a good message. A lot of people are just
We're excited to share.
yeah. We're excited. I won't go too like
I mean, you're not really excited.
I
I'm teasing.
put on a good show.
Yeah, you do.
So
You
I made
do.
a joke or two.
You do.
No, but he really
So-
does. He really
No.
enjoys, like when I show up to a job, when he makes good progress and it looks good, he can't wait to show me or at
Yeah.
least see my reaction. Like he knows it looks good. Like he
Yeah.
knows like this is coming out awesome.
100%.
And he does get very excited about that because you start to see it come together.
Yeah. And it looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the other part, we could talk about this, John, because I'm curious on your take on this. So we do way more custom building. So we do a lot of custom projects. There's like, I've always said this in construction, even if you give me the same house plan and I build it for the second time, it's never the same.
No.
It's never the same. Just because it's the same plan, there's a lot you can,
Oh.
get it,
Fixtures
get
of the
right.
house.
But yeah, but there's a lot exactly. You can have a different light fixture.
Totally
We can
different.
no longer put the outlet here. We have to put it
Yeah.
here. Cabinets, even color and depth of like what you painted the walls. What color are your cabinets? Like it's never just as easy unless you're in production, which is a different model than we have. Now John and I actually come from production building. So production is very different. You can learn a lot in production building. I'm curious your take. Production over custom or custom over production?
Custom over production for sure. There's advantage. It's nice to know both. I think you have to know both. There's advantages, but I think if you're good at what you do, you have the ability to do good work. We have some great ideas that we can bring to life, and they would never be realized in production when you do the same thing in the same way. All that stuff, no good.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's not. Your creativity level isn't exactly going to grow. So there's a lot of things we do differently, and we just kind of make it up on the fly. Good ideas, but the detailed stuff, finishes and things like that, and it's great and it's unique, and there's something one of a kind.
Yeah.
Certain things out there, the way we do things. So
Would you say that production was a great way though to learn this because it was like learning accelerated at a high speed?
just have to believe that's the way you. It's a great way to learn because you're doing the same thing over and over again. You know, custom, you might do this year, not touch it again for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Production, do this. A couple weeks later, you're doing it again. You're doing it again. So it's constantly. That's how you learn. Remember, So, if the repetition of it, doing 20 houses at the same time, and you have, you'll remember.
Yeah.
You'll sleep about it. You'll dream about it. So,
Just from like an outside perspective, like you both take huge pride in your products and like what you guys do on a daily basis. And I think that because it's so custom and every job is so different, I think that shows more. Does that make sense?
It does. It does actually, for sure.
you don't like what you do. It doesn't matter.
That's so
If
true.
you're being forced to do it.
It never has happened.
No, it's not going to be as good.
Yeah.
So doesn't matter what you do. If you're making a pizza or if you're
Yeah.
building a house, whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
you have to love it.
I mean, repetition is huge when you're getting into something that you don't know, and you coming like you don't have a huge background going way, way back. I had the privilege of learning at a young age with my dad and all of his friends who were in construction. Like that's all I knew. John was surrounded by golfers and the likes of all kinds of people, but because I just think you learn so fast though because we were in production at the time when you came to work with me that you saw a house frame 100 times in a year. It was like some people that might, if you went into custom, you only saw 3 houses get framed in the last 3 years.
Your whole career, don't see 100 houses. No. Some people,
no.
So so literally 100 times, in a couple of years. So for sure, I mean that's the way to learn. I feel repetition.
Mm-hmm.
So, God, oh God, so many things. But even with those houses, even with the houses being production though, there were still a lot of little, smaller details that changed though.
Yeah.
It's funny, you're talking about lots that, the width size changed 2 feet, maybe 3 feet from the small one to the big one. I mean, and amazing how that can change, everything, the depth of the house, the staircases, just so on and so forth. So it's funny, just little changes though can still, make a big difference.
Yeah. Production is not set it and forget it.
No.
It can actually that's one of the challenges with production. Once you're going 100 miles an hour, you feel like you never have enough people, and you're relying on. I mean, there was days where you could have had, 40, 50 guys working on one day on your jobs, on different jobs spread out all over the place, and sometimes would just sit in your truck and just like, I wonder how much crap I'm missing. That's going wrong that I don't see happening right now. That we'll find out later, but. It's a great way to learn. Great way to learn. What would you say? So doing custom stuff, what would you say specifically, personally, like what you like the most? What do you like to see the most?
The creativity you can do, especially when it's just us. How do we want to build the house? How do we want to design it? How do we see it? And we have pretty good eye, and we have a pretty good, scope of,
we're both honest
different ideas.
Like,
yeah.
I'll throw out an idea sometimes and be like, what else you got?
Yeah.
What else you got?
Yep.
Give me something else.
That's it though. Yeah. No, really. Throw out 20 ideas and one good one, That's what it's about. Yeah. So I love that. Talking it out for sure. That's how you get the best idea.
Yeah.
And the best product.
Well, because you're into it.
You have to be
that
into it.
Outcome, and you're going to pour everything you can into that to see it come to life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for sure so much more work. People know it's more work, but like until you really let's just talk about how about millwork, for instance, the millwork in a house. Like it's one thing to throw trim up around your window, your door, and installing casing trim. It's a whole other thing to get into wainscoting, depth, profile, what paint are we going to use, where's the wall at, how tall is the wall.
Hundreds of options.
It doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop. But it's also an empty canvas, You know, we got that ability down in Ocean City, the house we're wrapping up, to be very creative. And I mean, you know, I know we're proud of it, but like if I go several days and I don't go down and then I go to check on progress,
We're still creating.
we're still,
Still creating down there.
we're still creating. But it's amazing. Like it's like a song that you put everything. If you were an artist, a music artist, and you put everything into it. Like when you hear that song, you can think of. It wasn't just, hey, I didn't have to like throw out a song for the record company. Somebody one more song, but like you really enjoy making that song. It was a hard song to make, and there's all kinds of details, and honestly, probably details in that song that most people will never even pick up on, but you know they're there.
That's, I think, my favorite part. Like, I love I love the selections that you make. And I mean, I've seen it on the back end, you know, like you've taken me places. So I see your mind going when we're in like choosing tile or flooring or whatever. But I feel like that is very truthful. You guys feel like get super excited about what you're picking. And then I think once it's finally together.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
Not to discourage people from building
No,
homes, but people, homeowners, don't realize,
yeah,
you know, building a house is beautiful, it's fun, and, you know, you'll love it, but it's not just a phone call or a text message here and there. You are working, you know, to a degree. Even as the homeowner, you are putting a lot of your time in and a lot of decisions. Just if you're doing it, but I mean, you know, just the tile, the millwork. I mean, there's 20 different phone calls, just what kind of tile, where, what size, the same color tile, 5 different sizes, what direction you're going to lay it, you know, what color grout. You can go on just for that. So it's a lot.
Yeah, when you're building for someone, let's just say a full custom home, they're coming on the bus with you. Like they're becoming a part of your company for that time period. And you're going to get to know each other pretty well. Good, bad, whatever you want to call it. But it is work. It is a lot of work. And that's why it's important to make sure from a client perspective, who's your builder going to be? From the builder's perspective, like, can I work with these people? Doesn't mean either side's bad, or it just means like sometimes certain personalities don't get along.
And that's okay.
And that's totally fine. And you have to recognize this, you know, I think anyone in business has made a mistake of taking on the wrong client, or, you know, and maybe it's not even their fault. Maybe it was you just weren't ready. They had a certain expectation. You didn't set it right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it got derailed. But it's a lesson to be learned. You learn that, right? So I mean, I think people. I'm always interviewing who's interviewing us as well. Like even though they're asking us questions about how do you do things and who are your people, like I'm thinking to myself, like I'm interviewing them as well because I want them to be happy. And if I feel like I don't know if we're going to be able to achieve what you're thinking in your head, especially for the budget that you have, I don't know if we're the right fit. And I'll be honest, and I will say that because I do not want anybody to engage working with us and not get the outcome they were hoping for. That's a bad spot for me and for them, you know, and we know that, like, we know that. Fortunately, we really haven't had that happen a whole lot, but like little, even minor breakdowns within a build, like of something that, hey, you know, we really got to communicate certain things better because the expectation is just like expected to be here, but we need to let them understand like that's a progress to get to here. And, you know, it's not just as simple as saying, hey, I want to paint the house white. Why is it flashy? Why is it not shining the way it should in this room? Especially painting. We have that issue with painting a lot. Expectations are all over the place with painting. You have people that don't know what a level 4 finish is, which is basically just a rough finish of your spackle, and you're priming it up, and you know, it's not meant to be perfected, but you can step up the levels from there. However, our finish guys have to do a heck of a lot more work to get that to be that. So if we didn't set the expectation, you know, I used to just put level 4 finish, assuming like no, we know what that is.
Yeah.
And I realized I'm like, I have to explain this because if they want a higher level, we got to talk about that. It comes with a cost, and some people are willing to pay it, some people are not. Communication. A lot more communication than custom.
Yeah.
Through our experience, we take it for granted maybe what is going to happen, and people, they've never built a house, so we can't expect them to know that. So communication, you know, that's the thing. That's really what it all comes down to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
And ask the questions if you are the client. I mean,
For sure.
I
Talk.
feel, yeah.
Ask
Yeah, don't
questions.
assume.
Ask the,
Yeah.
yeah, just
Assume
ask the
nothing.
questions.
Yeah.
Don't assume we are or are not going to do something. Yes. Talk and ask questions.
Yeah, for sure. And some people do and some people don't. You're right. It ends up being a problem. They just assume, oh, I thought, oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Man, sometimes when you get past a certain point, to undo something might not happen.
Yeah.
Or it might not happen so smoothly.
Yeah.
Where we did it a certain way because, you know, you're taking a big risk in some way and it's not worth it. So we had to do it a certain way. And, you know, they wanted it the other way. And, you know, that's, again, talking.
Yeah. Speak up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Anything else specific you want anybody to know about either one of you?
Yeah, you go first.
Oh,
I'm going to put you on the
You
spot.
are really putting me on the
Yeah,
spot.
come on.
About me?
Well, it doesn't have to be about you. It could be about your job. It could be about things you're excited for and what we're doing, endeavors we're making, ideas we are bouncing off each other. For John, it could be upcoming projects and learning new things or learning about new products we're excited to use, or where the next project is. Right now, John's been driving to Ocean City every single day,
Every day of his
for like
life.
forever,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, we were going to the Poconos. Pocono, PA, and then we finished there, and then it was like great to Ocean. So so he's been in the car a lot. Maybe he's looking forward to not having to drive.
Next podcast, we're going to do standing up.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, it's like, what are we doing next? Because,
Yeah.
like,
You're working for the right guy then.
well, I know that, but how long ago did we have a conversation? And it was like, I remember specifically, it was like, oh, I've always thought about doing a podcast. Like, oh, we should do a podcast.
Yeah.
And I mean, fast forward like 9 years later,
Yeah.
what it feels like.
Yeah.
And here we are.
So much harder than
it's so much
I
harder
realized. I
than
mean, I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't honestly realize it was going to be this hard.
it is. I know. But we're here.
Yeah.
And
We're trying.
we're
We're gonna
here.
get better. We're gonna get
Yeah.
better. We got a really, really good list of people that are. It's kind of funny. You build it and they will come, right?
Yeah.
So you start putting it out, and everyone's like, "Hey, I'd like to
Yeah,
come
that's
on." It's
great.
like, wow,
Yeah.
that was the whole point.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, we did it.
Yeah,
How can we make it better? And what's next?
yeah. Like, what's next? That's what that's
That's
what
the-
you're looking forward
That's
to. is
that's
like,
yeah. What's next?
next?
Yeah.
Yeah. This podcast is interesting because it's a side project. Obviously, our business is what we focus on mainly, but I think we're very open-minded, and that has helped us get to where we are.
Mm-hmm.
We had a vision, and we're like, we could have done it like a certain way and maybe got out this out going a long time ago, but we had a vision. We're like, no, we're just gonna let's get the pieces in place and let's do it that
But we
way.
didn't want to settle either.
No, and you
so-
never should, by the
Yeah.
way, anybody. Like, if you know something should be a certain way and you want it to be that way, don't
You're working.
don't ever
hard.
lower your standard.
Yeah, you're working
don't ever.
hard to do that,
Yeah,
and I think we did.
yeah.
And so
It took getting a good camera guy.
I know, there he is.
In the That was a challenge,
yeah, it was.
working with other people and learning things too from those people, finding the right person, the right
Mhm.
fit. Because there are people behind the camera, and honestly, like, we could have a conversation and he has to do all the work.
Yeah,
So
and he's good at it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Probably should get someone who knows what they're doing if
Yeah.
you're going to film your podcast. Even audio though, right?
Yeah, but it's like, what's next for me? That's
Cool.
what keeps me going, I guess.
So would you guys be willing to come back on?
I mean, what do you think?
I'll find the time, I
I
guess.
don't know.
We'll
Should
see.
Pencil,
I think
pencil
so.
it in.
That's
See if
what
you
it
can fit
is.
me in.
I was going to go golfing.
I messed it all
I
up.
messed it all up.
Messed it up.
There's still time. There's still
There's still
time.
time. There's still time. Well, with that being said, I'm going to get you guys out of here. Thank you so much for coming on. And more importantly, thank you both for being a part of the team. I know this is a crazy ride sometimes, but you guys are all in. And not only are you in, you guys give input, and input's huge. And I appreciate feedback. And this is a collaboration. I always looked at this as a collaboration. And my success is your guys' success. And Charlene, we'll get her on. I promise we'll get her on. But
Yeah.
like same deal. So thank you for making my job fun, even on the days it's not so fun.
It's true.
It's fun every day.
Fun every day.
Thank you guys.
Yes.